Close-Up is brought to you by the Kia Sorento R, redefining the power of Kia.
Are you sitting in your own home tonight? If you are, how would you feel if you discovered it's lost 3/4 of its value because it's sinking into ground it should never have been built on? And when you challenge the council that signed it off, your council, the people you pay rates to, they decide to fight it through the courts. And when you've lost most of your life savings in that house, an expensive court battle is like a knife through the heart. Michael Holland on a battle these families can't afford to lose.
On the surface, all seems nicely in order. Modern houses, modern subdivision, and a cross-section of who we are. The retired couple, the working couple, the young family. Why then the angry tones?
We're buggered. Absolutely stuffed.
The extravagant language.
I'm pissed. I really am pissed. Just get it bloody sorted. They're gutless. The whole bloody lot of them. They have no right to dick with people's lives the way they're doing. They're lower than a snake's belly button. I detest them.
The problem even lower than that.
This hole's only hand dug about 1 metre, and then we can just... Six metres.
Soft, unstable ground signed off by the Rotorua District Council as suitable for building on, meaning for these 3 households, home is where the heartbreak is.
One side of the house is dropping one direction, opposite side of the house is dropping the other. So, hence, she's all just starting to break up.
It's pulling the house apart, and this is after 4 years.
Got a marble, drop it on the floor and see where it goes. I'm not encouraging it to bugger off down the floor like that, but the slope in the floor is.
Now, before we go any further, our homeowners want to make it plain. They don't consider their damage to be anywhere near that in Canterbury.
It's not Christchurch, but it is the house is sinking.
Although, like so many houses down south, their homes are good only for demolition.
An engineer's report, in our opinion, the only long-term solution to your problem is to demolish the house, preload the site, and then reconstruct a new house on a raft foundation as recommended. That's level there.
So the carpet and the edging strip makes it level.
And, this sort of here, what the hell? It's a new home. You shouldn't be able to do this to a new home. The ground is subsiding, the house is buckling and twisting, differential settlement everywhere.
The constant movement leading the Department of Building and Housing to effectively condemn the 3 houses, revoking their building consents and code of compliance certificates several years after the homes were occupied.
A code of compliance certificate tells us that the house was built as per the building code, and they make the statement that this house has a expected life of 50 years plus. Failed miserably. You might as well screw it up and throw it in the rubbish bin, because that's what it's worth. It's worth nothing.
Angry, really, really angry, because of the attitude of Rotorua District Council.
I point my gun at the Rotorua District Council. We had all the right paperwork. When you have the right paperwork signed off by your local council, you expect that the house is good to go. Well, we moved into it, and since, we've been gradually tipping over.
Rotorua Council must accept its responsibilities for its mistakes.
10 to 12 millimetres over the length of 1 metre. It's crazy.
Documents obtained by Close-Up show the council was well aware of the ground stability issues in the earliest days of the subdivision's completion. This lawyer's letter describes the situation just after the first houses were built as fraught with all sorts of potential difficulties. Quote, "There's no denying the magnitude of the problem and the obvious difficulty which may exist in the successful implementation of remedial measures." Scratch a few more layers, another interesting discovery. The land was subdivided by a then sitting councillor, having previously been owned by another councillor.
It's my assessment, my assumption, that there's a conflict of interest.
Rotorua District Council should be known as Ostrich Central. They really should. They've got their head buried in the bloody sand so deep they can't see daylight.
But then the backside's stuck up in the air, mate. So you've got to be careful if you're an ostrich.
Next door, young mother of 2, Katie Davis, is on maternity leave from, of all places, the District Council.
At the end of the day, I'm a ratepayer. They are hiding behind their insurers and to say no liability is just ridiculous. Of course there's liability. Who signed it off? They did.
Settlement, though, seems a long way off. In fact, the council's upping the ante, going to court to try to overturn the ruling of the Department of Building and Housing. That means the homeowners now have to stump up to defend their position at the appeal hearing.
They're using our rates to fight us. It's ridiculous. It's farcical.
To challenge a decision made by a government body. Now, how stupid is that?
If the council plays the long game, it just might be that it wears you down.
Well, I'm not walking anywhere. I'm here for the long haul. They want to fight, I'll give them a bloody fight.
You've got the stamina.
I've got the stamina. I surely have. When it comes to fair play and giving somebody a fair go, they wouldn't know what the words meant.
We got on to the Rotorua District Council, who didn't want to appear on camera in case it goes to court. Peter Guerin, the Chief Executive, told us in a statement that we have carefully reviewed our files and are confident that the subsidence issues are not the result of poor processes of the resource consent by Rotorua District Council. I've encouraged the Collinses to pursue this matter through the courts, as there are a number of parties involved, including developers, consultants, builders and other specialist advisors. Peter Guerin says the courts are the best place to establish who's liable. Yes, the courts are the best place if you have the money, if you're a big council. Not much chop if you're retirees or a struggling family whose only asset has been destroyed because someone, not them, allowed houses to be built on crap land. And if you can't turn to the council or the Department of Building and Housing, what are everyday people supposed to do? Let us know what you think of it, but we think this is disgusting. There's been someone else involved in all of this without her even knowing. Public law expert May Chen. Now, her book, Public Law Toolbox, has been Grant Collins' Bible, his bedtime reading. He's relied on it to navigate this nightmare, so we're going a step further for Grant. May Chen is with us live. Thanks for joining us, mate. Look, is the council gutless?
Well, the council has a real problem. And the problem is this. There is now a determination by the Chief Executive of the Department of Building and Housing that the building permit that they gave was not lawfully granted. So as a consequence of that, that does really allow the Collins to go back to court and say negligence. They shouldn't have given us this building permit, and now we're left with a house on a piece of property. We don't have a building permit, and actually under the Building Act it says that if you put a building on a piece of land without a building permit, you commit an offence. $100,000 fine and $10,000 per day if you continue to flout it. So they're in a no man's land, and I think they're in a pretty vulnerable situation.
Well, they're vulnerable too, mate, because not everyone can afford to fight a court case. And they're looking at it and they're worried and they're frightened. And as you say, and I said before, their only asset has been eroded by about 70 or 80%. Is it fair that ordinary ratepayers are forced to take their own council to court?
Well, in this case, what's happened is that the council's decided they want to contest it, and they can. But it's actually quite good, Mark, because they're contesting it against the Department of Building and Housing. So it'll be the Department of Building and Housing in one corner, defending its decision that what happened was illegal, and there'll be the Rotorua District Council in the other corner. So they can fight it out using various funds, whether it's central or local funds. I mean, from the Collins' perspective, I think they've now got a determination from the Department of Building and Housing. I would go to the Ombudsman and say, look, what we want you to do is we want you to make sure that you look at this, because under Section 22 you've got jurisdiction to look at actions which have been taken, and also they might want to use the Local Government Official Information Act. I mean, there are other mechanisms, but here, look, they may be able to find a lawyer who can take this determination. Mark, you've got a determination, it's great. The Building Act allows you to go and blow the whistle on the territorial authority if you think they've given you a building permit that they shouldn't have, and they should take it to the next step. That's what they should do.
Is it a legal matter? Isn't there a time when councils have to behave decently, if I can put it like that?
The difficulty here is that the council, I think, if you see it from their perspective, are carrying out a statutory role. And of course, they also have liability, and they will be arguing that maybe it's not them, maybe it has to do with the builders, maybe it has to do with the contractors. The difficulty is that the permit is a determination by the council that the plans for the house actually comply with the building code. And when I go and look at the building code, Mark, I do see that it talks about stability. And I do see that it talks about making sure that it's properly stable, looking at the physical conditions, not just when you're building it, but for the life of the building.
Well, May, look, I'm sure Grant Collins would appreciate hearing some advice direct from you, not just from the book. We'll keep you, and of course you at home, will keep you all posted on what happens with this. May Chen, thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.